Hi, so today's Wednesday. We leave for the BC High School Provincial Finals tomorrow in the morning at 5. It's in a town called Fort St. John, which is about 13 and a half or 14 hours from where I live, so it's going to be quite the trip. But Dia's been doing really good recently, so I'm pretty excited to see what she does there. It's going to be a lot of fun. I have a lot of preparing to do before we leave, so I thought I would bring you along to see some of that. So we took the horses to a barrel racing practice last night with the trailers, so it's quite a mess. So the first thing I'm going to do is clean it out and rebed it and put her hay bag in there. So yeah. Now it's all clean and freshly bedded. Now one thing I thought I would mention that has to do with trailering is I have a 4-horse trailer, but we're only taking 1 horse. So usually when we do that, we like to take out 1 or 2 of the dividers. Now horses do tend to like to brace themselves on the divider, so always make sure that we have at least 1 available for her to do that with and the wall on the other side. But Dia is also the kind of horse who always likes to be moving around. And on a 13-hour haul, that's a long way for a horse to just be standing still. And we will be taking a few breaks and then giving her water and maybe bringing her out to stretch her legs, but she's still standing still for so long, and so sometimes it's nice to give her a little extra space if possible, so that's what we usually do. Dia has a thing about hay nets and bags. She gets really angry if she can't eat fast enough, and she actually breaks them all the time, so I just had to buy this one, but I really like it. I think it's the favorite one, my favorite one I've had so far. Not only is it so big, it can hold like 3-4 plates, but the holes are also really large, so she's probably not going to get as angry as she would with a regular hay net. She also likes to eat out of the top because that's easier. She's a lazy, hungry girl, so this one I think is really nice. I guess I would recommend this if your horse is like mine. On the topic of hay bags and nets in a trailer, thought I would mention that it's always a really good idea to have that. Not only is it helpful to keep your horse not as bored when they're on the road for a long period of time, but also having something in their stomach at all times is actually a really good way to prevent ulcers from happening. Ulcers are so common in performance horses, and not only is trailering a really stressful environment most of the time for horses, even if they do it on a regular basis, it's usually a lot more stressful than just standing in their stall or in their field. So it's a really good idea to always have that available to them. Horses are also grazing animals, so I mean they're supposed to be eating all the time anyway, so it would just be a natural thing, I would think. I don't know why somebody wouldn't offer a horse right on the road, but yeah. This rodeo is 3 days long, and I always like to plan out what I'm going to wear and what my horse is going to wear in advance and get that all sorted out and organized so that on the day of each rodeo I'm not kind of struggling to find and decide what I'm going to put on her. So I will show what I have planned out for this weekend. See, my horse only has 1 saddle, so that's kind of obvious for which I'm going to use. This is the bridle that I've been using on her right now, although I think I'm going to change the head style over to this one because I like it more, and it's also thicker, and this one has been kind of almost coming off of her the last couple of runs, so I think that one will be a little more secure and safe. And then this is the bit I use, is just a D-ring snaffle. I have been using a tie down on her, so I'll bring this tie down. I have a purple one too, but I'm not going to be wearing purple this weekend, so I'm not going to bring that other one. This is the pad I've been using on her, and then I have a breast collar for each day and boots. So this is actually the 3rd day. I'm going to be wearing blue. It's actually supposed to be animal print day, but I don't have any animal print, and I'm not the kind of person who can just go and buy another full set of boots and a shirt for a theme. I just don't have that kind of money, so we're gonna have to go with that. The first day is pink day, so I have these pink bell boots, and I also have a set of 4 pink polos that I'll wear, that I'll put on her that day, but I just don't have them here. And then for The other day, it is retro day themed. I'm not really sure exactly what that means, but I have a shirt with a pretty cool pattern on it that I think is pretty retro, and it matches these salmony, peachy polos and blue bell boots, so that's what I'll be doing on that day. And that's pretty much it. It's always a good idea to bring extras of things also, just in case anything were to happen, especially when you're running 3 different times, 3 different days. Mostly everything packed in here. I don't have my saddle or my bridle because I am going to ride her one more time before tomorrow. So I'll put those in directly after I ride, but I thought I would give a little bit of a tack room tour and show you guys what I like to keep in here when I go on a trip. So here will be where my bridle goes, my tie down and my breast collars are there. Here I have a bag of the polos that I will be using. I also like to have an extra bag in here for right after I race. Then instead of just throwing dirty polos loose in the tack room and having it get really cluttered and messy, because it is really small, they can all just be in one spot and then I can just dump that bag into the washing machine when I get home. She will be wearing her back on track. She has a full set of 4 quick wraps as well as the hawk wraps, and she has a mesh sheet with the neck cover. She'll be wearing that on the way to and from the rodeo as long as it is not too hot. If it is too hot, the back on track actually will make her sweaty and will probably do more harm than good. So if it is really hot, she'll just go in there bare naked. She won't have anything on, and that's kind of the best option that I see. She also has her winter blanket back there in case it gets really cold at the rodeo. This will be up in the interior and I don't know what the weather is going to be like. I will check right before I leave, but you never really know, so I keep that just in case. So for this little tote, I keep her brushes up here. I will be adding more brushes, but I am going to be riding her, so I'll need a couple. But I have a hoof pick, body brush, a dandy brush. My sister has some of her brushes and things, but now this is a really confused, I don't know why I do this to myself, but this is my favorite detangler, and so I always keep that there. I love it. I love the smell. It works amazing. But I also have an old bottle that I have mixed liniment into. So that's a little confusing if you can't tell the difference. But this is liniment, so after she runs, I like to spray her down with that, not everywhere, but certain places, and that'll soothe her muscles. I keep my spurs in here. Recently, I haven't really been riding with spurs, so that's why I put them in here instead of wearing them on my feet. But then if I want to wear them, they're just there. I have these elastic bands. These are for my stirrups, but I don't typically wear them, but I did just get a new saddle. And the saddle is broken in, but the girl had a lot longer legs than me, and so the fenders are still pretty stiff to my length. So just as a precaution, this is a pretty important race. I can race without stirrups, just to make that clear, but it is a distraction and it's one more thing to think about when you don't have stirrups, so that is just a personal preference. Under here I have tape for my polos. I use polos a lot, and that is also just an extra safety thing. I do know how to wrap polos and I've never had any come loose, but that is just an extra precaution. Here I have some 4Com. I don't really use 4Com that much. I did buy it just to try and I haven't used it all up. If she does get really nervous the first day, I'll use it on the second and third, but other than that, I won't necessarily be using it. I just have some that are up here just in case anything happens. My horse is known to cut herself up on the randomest things, so I have that just in case anything were to happen. Here I have her bell boots and the splint boots that I'll be wearing on the one day. I also keep a pitchfork in the trailer. This one will not be staying in the trailer, but just to clean up, especially when you're camping, you don't want to leave the campground messy. They should barely know that you camped there, and that's the respectful thing to do. I always like to make sure that I leave it looking the same, if not better, than when I found it. So yeah, that's pretty much all that I keep in here for my horse. I would go through what I keep for myself, but that a lot less thought goes into it. There's not much. So yeah, the other set of polos that I'll be bringing. I also like to take along my pop-up barrels just in case I do get the opportunity to get into the arena early when nobody else is there and set them up to work through a time or two. So obviously there are a few other things that I will be bringing, such as her buckets, her grain buckets. I always bring, it's a really good idea to always bring water jugs with water in it, and I mean those 5-gallon, you know, the ones you put on like a water cooler. And that's a really good idea because not only can you give her water on the way, but also if you get there late at night, you don't have to go and find a hose to give her some water, and maybe you are camping far away from the hose, and that's a really easy thing to have, and you will thank yourself later for that. That is, like, when I started doing it for the first time, I was like, no way am I ever leaving home without one of these or 5. Again, it is so convenient. Also, I'm not going to show me putting in her hay or her grain into the trailer because that is personalized to my own horse, and it's not really going to apply to anybody else what exactly she gets and how I bring it. But pretty much, you know, a bale of hay, her bucket of alfalfa cubes, and her bucket of grain will be coming, and then a scoop. So that's kind of self-explanatory. So now I'm going to show a little bit of the preparations that I do to her before going, but that's pretty much all the packing that I'll do for her. She's a pretty light packer. She will be going into a stall at the rodeo, so I don't have to worry about electric fencing or panels or if she's going to be tied to the trailer and all that. So that is, that's a really good thing with some peace of mind. I really love when I can get pens or stalls at the rodeo. That is just totally amazing, because then she can be a lot more relaxed. When she's tied to the trailer, she's not as relaxed. She is a really good horse, a really good rodeo horse, because she will sit and sleep at the trailer no matter what's happening, no matter what her situation is, no matter what time she gets there. She's a really good, especially when she's by herself. She is actually slightly worse when her friend comes. But yeah, that's just a bit about her. So yeah. So I'm just grabbing Dita to go for a little bit of a ride. One thing I wanted to mention is that, in my opinion, the day before you leave for a rodeo is a little bit too late to be doing any type of serious training and trying to problem solve with your horse. Not only is that going to add stress, but it's probably not going to change how they're going to act at the rodeo, because that is so last minute. But also, working your horse really hard could risk them being muscle sore. And if you're going to a big event, obviously that is not going to work in your favor whatsoever. So the day before I leave, I like to do a nice relaxed ride, not very long, just to get some energy out, especially since we're going to be driving so long. It's a good idea to exercise her a little bit so that she's not as antsy and anxious in the trailer. Dita's fly mask will also be coming with us to the rodeo. Not only do I not really know the bug conditions in Fort St. John, it's so far away, but also something to consider when you are going to a different town is that they're probably going to have slightly different types of bugs. And so having a fly mask or even a fly sheet, and for sure bringing bug spray, is a really good idea, because your horse could break out in hives if they're not really used to the bugs and if they, you know, happen to have a reaction to the bites. So, I mean, that's not a for sure thing that's gonna happen, but it is something to think about and be prepared for. So here's Dita, all ready to ride. And I'll probably only ride for 15 or 20 minutes, just a small ride to get some energy out. And when I'm done riding her, I'll probably just take her outside over there, right to my trailer, to untack her, because then I can just throw my saddle and my bridle right into the tack room, and then I don't risk forgetting, and I have that for sure. So yeah. Okay, so I'm just finishing off a nice, quick, relaxed ride on Dita. I'm just cooling her out. One thing that I thought to mention as well was that you really want to make sure when you are preparing to take your horse on a big trip somewhere where you will be competing, or really anything, you want to be sure that they are 100% healthy and sound and in the best condition that they can be in. So, for example, Dita had her body adjusted less than a month ago. She gets adjusted on a monthly basis, as well as acupuncture, laser therapy, and massage. She is about halfway through her cycle with the farrier, and she actually just had the vet come to do her teeth last week. So she's pretty much in tip-top shape that she can be in. She's also has been getting ridden very consistently. I've been pretty on top of that. So you want to make sure that you're doing your horse as many favors as you can to help them succeed as much as they possibly can, because if you take your horse to a big event but they haven't had their teeth done in 5 years, I mean, you're probably not setting them up for success. Or if their feet are 12 weeks overdue, like, you know. So those are kind of obvious things, or things that should be obvious. But doing a nice light ride the day before you leave or the day that you leave is also a good idea, in order to make sure that they're feeling 100% themselves, they're 100% sound and everything like that. You would really be surprised how often a horse is going to hurt themselves right before you leave, and maybe you won't even notice until you're there that your horse is lame. So a really good thing to make sure. Now, the next thing I'm going to do to prepare for this weekend may not feel totally mandatory for some people. However, I think it's pretty important. I'm going to give Dita a bath. Now, having a clean horse may not be, you know, really mandatory when you're going on a trip, but it is very helpful because it takes a lot of stress off of your getting ready to run in the rodeo, as well as this is a very public thing. These are the provincial finals, and so I want to have a horse that looks really good and professional. And also, when your horse gets really sweaty, if they are dirty, they get this brown gunk on them and it's pretty gross. So, you know, a clean horse is definitely a better option. So it may not be totally necessary, but it definitely is a help, and I always like to have her as clean as possible. Dita doesn't necessarily love baths, but she does love to be scratched and fussed over, so she's pretty happy. Okay, so that's gonna be the end of the video. I think that I covered everything I wanted to talk about, and I hope that you can take away something from this video and use it whenever you go on a next big trip with your horse. So also keep watching out for the vlogs for this weekend, because it should be a pretty exciting one. And yeah, keep you posted.